Hello, my name is Hunter, and I am a rising sophomore at the Urban School of San Francisco, and this is my RC Hovercraft Milestone 2. This milestone was basically getting my skirt design completed, at least it was intended to be, but I encountered a few troubles that were left over from the electronics that I spent most of the time since last update dealing with. So this was my initial skirt design. I actually had made this before I'd built the body or put in the electronics, but I knew as soon as I'd made it that it was kind of a mess and I probably wouldn't end up using it. And I didn't even end up trying it with this Depron design because this elastic band is probably too strong and it wouldn't have held. So instead I just went with a completely new one. I cut a new strip of fabric and I was very careful this time. I used tape on the whole thing, got it all set up, and there's paracord in the bottom as well to hold it down. Everything was taped, and then I slowly took the tape off and hot glued it. So it's way cleaner this time, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Went for a test flight, and it kind of worked, but since most of the weight is in the back, I needed to redirect more airflow back there because it was sort of flying like this. So I did two things. First is I opened these air holes, and you can't really see it, but there's sort of a slanted surface inside them now, just to direct more air towards the back. That helped somewhat, but I still needed something more. So I ended up making, here's an open one. I ended up making this skeleton, which I may end up adding a few other parts to continue to improve performance, but for now it's just in the back. It's just made of zip ties, and it gives it a lot more structure so that even without perfect airflow, it can kind of sit up. But besides that, the skirt wasn't that bad. What actually took most of the time was this back fan. It had been mounted before, but the way it was mounted was kind of sketchy with some screws going into the Depron that just broke off eventually. So when I was going to do this milestone video for the first time, I went for a test flight just before, and this whole thing came off. It was a mess. So I spent most of yesterday fixing this. I tried a few different things. One, I had a standoff and a whole screw system coming through here. Just ended up unscrewing itself instead of turning left and right. I finally, after a few failed attempts, got to this one, which has the servo horn attached to a washer with holes in it, and then that is epoxied to the bottom of here, so it's not coming off. But now it's working, and this is all set. I can give it a test flight right now. In terms of plans for the future, this is my last milestone, and I should be able to just paint it and do a few performance tweaks, like adding the skeleton to the rest of the thing, and we should be good. So I'm going to give it a test flight. Thank you.